Doug and PA back with another one. File this under feminism's fault. This woman in this TikTok has two younger kids being cared for by an au pair and then two older kids in daycare. So that's four total. And she pays over $5,000 a month for both services. So for daycare and for au pair for her kids. That's $60,000 a year, guys. $60,000 a year. And she'd rather do this than stay home with her kids. Now, maybe her and her husband make a lot of money. I don't know. I just found this TikTok here. But she's going to break down the cost and try to tell us how it makes sense. We're going to get into this. Before I do that, like the video, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment. I'd really appreciate it. It shows you support me and what I'm doing over here. And let's see if we can make any sense of this.
When people learn about my childcare setup, which is two children in full-time daycare and two children who are mostly cared for by an au pair, they wonder why I'm doing both and the costs associated and why I don't just have a nanny versus, just the au pair, whatever it might be. And so for perspective, I just want to kind of break down the way that costs currently work for our family here. And we are in Massachusetts, one of the most expensive places for childcare. So right now, we are paying for full-time daycare for two children, and then we pay our au pair for about 25 hours a week of work, and that's for our newborn baby, or not newborn, she's 9 months old, and our son for after-school care. So it's about 5 hours a day.
Okay. After school care is no joke. I think it's like a third more than regular daycare, but I'm still not seeing the benefit. $60,000. Think that costs $60,000 while she's going through this, guys, and see if we got what 2 minutes and some odd seconds to go for her to convince us. Let's go.
Total combined cost, that includes the au pair fee, because you have to pay an annual fee, her hourly rate, which is
So she pays $5,400 a month now.
$15 an hour here in Massachusetts. You pay an hourly rate for au pairs, which you don't do anywhere else in the country at all, just Massachusetts. That combined with two children in full-time daycare is about $5,000 a month, give or take. If we use more hours, it's more, obviously, just the hourly rate. If we do daycare for the two kids and then after school care, so next year when my other daughter goes to kindergarten, we could send my two youngest to daycare and have my two oldest in after school care. That is still $5,000 a month. So after school care per one child is about $1,000 a month. So for my two older kids, it'd be $2,000 plus the $3,400 I spend on daycare for the other two. So
Doesn't this make you want to have a bunch of kids, guys? Doesn't it? If you were on the fence about not having kids before, it's stuff like this that'll make you close the door on that decision. Doug MPA has no children. I don't plan on any. And all this cost that she's paying for daycare, all that money goes right into my checking account. My child is my checking account.
similar cost, way less flexibility, and no coverage when they're sick or on holidays or anything like that. So same cost, could make it happen if they actually had availability. My daycare does not have room for my youngest, who's 9 months.
And remember, guys, a lot of daycares closed during the cough, and I think only about half of them, maybe 2/3, open back up. So there's still a shortage of daycares ever since the cough happened.
Old. So that's also why we have an au pair. So a lot of people also say, why don't you just get a nanny? And because a nanny typically charges, obviously, an hourly rate, a minimum of $25 an hour for one child. And then they charge per child. So a lot of the quotes I get for nannies are for 4 kids. If they need to watch all 4, would be $35 or more an hour. And so 40 hours a week is what we would need minimum for care if we were doing that as our full-time childcare option. And that would be, close to $5,600 a month. And so when people ask, like, why daycare and an au pair, it's because it's what works for our family. Also, we use our au pair for minimal hours. If we used her for the full 45, she's allowed to work. Like, we couldn't really afford that at the rate in Massachusetts. And a small note about au pairs is, like, they are not professional child care providers, right? They're here for a cultural exchange. And so you're not going to get the same level of care and education as you're going to get at a daycare or with a nanny. So it's something just to note.
Well, you're going to get a warm body to watch your kids while you work. Guys, this is what women would rather do than stay at home with their kids. And it's funny because I looked at her profile. She's married, but she says nothing about being a wife and says nothing about her husband. Her whole platform, working mom of four, showing how you can have a career and balancing your household as a mother, but says nothing about a wife and she says nothing about her husband. But this is where we're at. This is where we're at. Once again, $60,000, guys, for four kids. Sounds appealing, doesn't it? Yeah, I didn't think so. Let me know what you think about this in the comments. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you on the next one.